And let me tell you, my brother used to call me the eviction queen because I evicted anybody and everybody. And I had a strategy. And I did not play because I had to learn the hard way. And the hard way was, in the lease where it says if you don't pay 5 days, you're late? No, I changed that to 3. I get 3 days. And I would tell my tenants, listen, if you don't pay on the third day, they have a thing called e-file. Forget the courthouse, okay? You're not going to run this game where you don't pay Friday and think I'm going to go to the courthouse on Monday. No, I'm going to go online that same day, that same night, and I'm going to file the paperwork that same day.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Johnson, and today I'm joined by Justina, who's been making moves in real estate pretty much since birth. Justina, welcome in. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. MJ, back to you.
Boom. And you know it. Okay. I'm excited about our talk today. You've done a lot of things. You have a long history in real estate. You produced a TV show. You're someone I've enjoyed speaking with so far. So I'm excited to unload it on the listeners. So for those who don't know you yet, tell us a little more about who you are and what your main focus is right now.
All right, great. So, who am I? I'm Justina Chi. I grew up in New York City. My father's Nigerian. He was an engineer. My mother's Irish, and she was first an architecture and a graphic design. They met at Pratt Institute. So I grew up, like you said, into rental property, collecting the rent, paying the bills, Brooklyn Union Gas, Con Edison at an early age in elementary. And, that's not what I went to college for. Originally, I wanted to be a doctor, and I didn't like the blood. And then I went to school for business, and I got my bachelor's, my MBA. Never even thought about, rentals or anything like that because I did it so young. But once I got out of college, my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting an apartment or a dorm. I have to buy a condo or something. And then from there, I rented that out, bought another one, rented that out, rent. So here we go.
The snowball effect in motion. I love that. So
Yeah.
from business degree, MBA in college, what was it right into real estate after college? Or were you doing anything in the middle?
Well, no, I would say once I got the condo and I moved on, because you get bigger, you don't want to being
Right.
stuck in a little condo forever. I started renting it out, and the famous Airbnb, as everybody does. First, I don't know how far back Airbnb goes. I think I got that condo in 2007. And it was so funny when I came to Atlanta, everybody wanted to be in Buckhead. That was the thing, Buckhead. And I got this condo in Sandy Springs, and people were laughing at me. Oh, you're not in Buckhead, but you know how that goes. And I bought it then for like 80,000. That was like worth almost 200,000, so like I say, you don't worry about what people say. I'll never forget the real estate agent said to me, and I was like, oh, well, I probably need this, I need this, I need this. He was like, but you can't afford that, or you don't need that. And he asked me, he said, let me ask you a question. Is anybody else going to pay for this stuff? Like your friends, when they come visit you, are they going to pay for an extra bedroom?" And I was like, No." He was like, "Oh, so then don't worry about it." And I was like, "Okay, that made a lot of sense, right? As far as investment goes, you should only invest in what you can afford, because you might be
Right.
in debt."
Right.
From there, I got another property and then got another property, and then I started learning about wholesale property. So instead of me putting down 5% based on my income, because I mean, everybody has been through the same situation. It's rarely that you're going to find someone out of college that has the best credit in the world, the best job history in the world. And these companies, they want everything. You know, Originally, I will tell you, when I first got that first condo, I had a great rental history, right, from being in
Okay.
college. I didn't even know a thing about credit. I was like, "Credit, what is that?" I didn't know and I was on the phone with Bank of America like forever, every day, and they were like, "Get this paper, get this." I had stacks of papers like this at my job and faxing them. This is when they didn't, we weren't doing scanning email. I faxed them my life. And I got that condo, and that deal was the worst deal in the whole entire world. That was like 2007. I didn't realize to 2012, when Obama became the second president and they were writing off your second mortgage or whatever it was. They were writing off the mortgage. He wrote off my second mortgage, and that one was like 12,000 or 20,000, right? So I was left with 60,000. So mind you, from 2007 to 2012, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. I started off with 60,000. I still owe 60,000."
Right.
I
How'd
was
this
like,
happen?
"What?" Right, and then I'm sitting there like, "Wait a minute, so what? I'm only paying like $100 towards the principal? What does that mean?" I'm like, "Oh my God." So I basically had to learn all this stuff on my own, right? Even though I went to
Gotcha.
school for business management, no one's gonna sit there and hold your hand and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is how you own a house." And so I had to learn all this stuff. And I had to self-teach myself. I actually went and through the workforce, they call it workforce at Department of Labor. Whenever you're in between jobs, they give you free training. Let me tell you, I went to Emory University to get a paralegal degree. That's how bad I wanted to learn about the law and the legal system, because I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot be getting cheated out of my money." And I got a degree, a certificate. I was there for 9 months, got a paralegal certificate. And once I finished renting out the condo and got another place, here comes tenants. And along comes tenants, comes evictions. And let me tell you, my
Right.
brother used to call me the eviction queen because I evicted anybody and everybody. And I had a strategy. And I did not play because I had to learn the hard way. And the hard way was, in the lease where it says if you don't pay 5 days, you're late? No, I changed that to 3. I get 3 days. And I would tell my tenants, "Listen, if you don't pay on the third day, they have a thing called e-file. Forget the courthouse, okay? You're not going to run this game where you don't pay Friday and think I'm going to go to courthouse on Monday. No, I'm going to go online that same day, that same night, and I'm going to file the paperwork that same night. So if you don't pay, this is what's going to happen, right?" And being a
Right.
paralegal, I'll tell you how I made some side money as a paralegal, because I'm not an attorney. I can actually represent anyone in any state or any state, right? Because most attorneys can't do that. And I'm not gonna go to court, but I will tell you this: during COVID, I evicted people in New Jersey and in New York during COVID. I actually flew to New York. I had judges laugh at me and say, you would never get anybody out during COVID." And I did. I got people out
Oh
in
yeah.
Clayton County, Fulton County, Georgia, New Jersey, and Suffolk County and Long Island. Yeah. So. And how I do it because when I was in elementary school, I went to these places by my face. And so this is the reason why I'm so good like at evictions and doing this stuff, because I do the same thing. I go in person in my face. I don't sit there at a desk and like, "Oh, let me fax them or email them and hopefully they'll get back to me." No. right in your face.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Here I am. Time
Where's
to
the
go. Pay
sheriff's
up or get out.
office? How come you didn't forward the paperwork yet? It's been 5 days. That's what you said. It says here it takes 5 days. Where is it? I'm waiting. I
Right.
got a baby at the house.
That's right. Well, squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the way it goes, is getting in there, taking action. I mean, that's the name of the game to real estate investing in general, is taking action. What are you going to do? Because if you just
Yeah.
sit and wait, it's going to run you over and it'll go right by. Doesn't care. The game
Yeah,
continues.
I had a place where I had to get 2 surveys done. It was $1,500. And you just do it online now. You
Right.
contact these people, you do it online, and I was just waiting. As 2 weeks went by, and then 4 weeks went by, and nothing. No emails, no calls, nothing. So I drove over there. And it's a regular office. It's not like they have people coming inside. It's just for the people that work there. And I'll never forget, I knocked on the door. It was in Marietta. And the lady opened the door a little bit and she's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got some services. And she's like, "Well, we don't really let customers come here. This is," and I slid myself in the door while she had the door open. And I'm looking around, I'm like, so I see this huge board. And on the board, I see like all these companies. And I'm like, "It's right there. Look, there's my company right there. So when are you going to?" And I'm like, "Is the owner here? The president?" Was? She's like, "You can't be in here." So he finally comes out, you know.
I love
I'm
that.
telling you. I learned the system. You have to make things happen. You cannot send an email these days. I mean, you can, but you know how that
No, you
goes.
got to stay on top of it. You got to, one of my favorite quotes is, you got to inspect what you expect. Like, you got to get in
Yeah.
there and make sure what you think is happening is actually happening, especially when you're dealing with offices and things like that. And that kind of leads into what you're going through a little bit now. Your new project is bringing billboards up from the ground up. And you're kind of running into the same thing with cities all the time and counties, of just how to make sure they get their job done to get these projects off the ground. So take us a little bit into that. I haven't spoken to someone doing billboards before. Enlighten us. What do you got going on? I love it.
Me neither. So look, okay. Um, so after you go from steps to steps, right? You have rental properties, and then people always say, "Do a fix and flip," and you're like, okay, right? So I did a fix and flip, and I did it, right? And it was okay. It was all right. But I sat back and I thought, and I'm like, do I really want to buy old houses and fix them up? Because no matter how much the inspector inspects, no matter how much let me tell you something. We're not even going to appraisers, okay? That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story, because there are companies that, it's just a scam to make money with these appraisers. That's a whole nother thing. The inspectors are usually your friends, but even so, people are human. They're not going to see everything. They're not going to know everything. Sometimes they'll miss something, and you get this old house, and then a couple of months later, you're like, "What is that? What's that noise?" And you're like, "What is that?" And then you'll be like, What?" Because it's just everything they can't. I'll give you an example. Like one house I had, um, not then, but now, we realized that things were coming through the pipes of the toilet and going into the shower. So they did a whole inspection with the cameras to find out that, I guess back in the days, they had certain pipes that they used then that rust that they don't use now. And those pipes are old and they need to be replaced. So you go from not knowing something, you might just flush out a shower, which is like what, a couple of $100, to now you got to change the pipes, which is like $3,000-$4,000. It's a
Right.
whole big listen, and no inspector would know that because it's way
No.
under the ground. And they're
Right.
not going to do all that. They come there for like 3-4 hours. They're not going to spend there all day to do that, right? So in my mind, I'm like, yeah, fix and flips are good. But in reality, unless you're doing like 5 and 10 and 20 fix and flips, and you just want these tenants to be in there complaining every day that something different is happening, it's a headache, right? So the grounds up are good, right? Grounds up are definitely good. I do work with an engineering firm called Ramtech, and they do grounds up. They do ground ups, but they do commercial. They do some residential. So I'm trying to wait for them to do a residential. Not really wait. It's like I keep telling them, we have this land. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But you're always on someone else's time. You know
Right.
how that goes. Because
Right.
with ground ups, you can't do a ground up unless you have the experience. So you're always waiting for this person because they have the experience, right? So that's here. As far as the paralegal work for myself, I have a lot of people that have like either language barriers, or they have computer barriers, or they're just a little bit older and they can't really keep up with the time of pulling their permits or renewing their license or just doing Excel. Who knows, printing something. I I remember when I worked for the city as a project manager, and they had to scan invoices, and they were scanning one paper at a time. And I was like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Yeah, we're just scan." I'm like, "Well, why are you scanning one paper at a time?" They're like, "'Cause that's how you're supposed to do it." I'm like, "No, you can scan them all at the same time." They're like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, you can. Just do it." And they're like, "No, you're gonna break the machine." I'm like, so I showed them, and then it came out, and then when it came out, that was even worse. They're like, "Oh my God, it's like 100 papers now. What are we gonna do? You can't even separate all this stuff." I'm like, "But you can. Look, you can separate it." And they're like, "Oh, wow." So, I mean, I have people like that, and they'll throw me a couple of $100 here and there, sometimes $1,000 or whatever, just to help them out. And that's good pocket money for me because I have a son and he always wants something. So,
Yeah.
and this for me,
Pocket
it
money.
takes a couple of minutes, right? I went to school forever. I got all these degrees. It took all these programs. So I'm like a computer nerd. So to me, I could just be like, yeah, okay, it's done. And they're like, they'd be waiting all week to try to figure it out. So during COVID, I was a office manager, project manager for this one restaurant, and they didn't have a billboard there, but there was a billboard down the street that they wanted to get. So I did some research for them, and I was realizing, I'm like, okay, I never thought about that. Because we're just driving around and we see all these pretty billboards with the cow, what, for Chick-fil-A, and we see all these nice signs, and we never think about it that that's a business too. That's a real estate business, right? So I'm like, this is interesting, okay? Because with a billboard, what do you have to do to maintain a billboard, right? So I had another client, and he has this big billboard in the back of his business. And I'm like, so what are you going to do with this? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Right? You got a whole billboard here. You don't know what you're going to do with it? He's like, I don't know. You work on it. You figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I go and I do, love chat GBT. They'll tell you anything.
Right. Right.
So to maintain a billboard, depending if it's vinyl or digital, right? So you need the person that's going to go up there, or the person that's going to do it. So let's just say that's a couple of $100. That's not big, right? Then you need the electricity for the lights. Even if you have vinyl, you're still going to have some lights so it can shine. And then if you have digital, you have that. So that's just a couple of $100 too. The insurance, couple of $100, right? The big part of the billboard is really the zoning, right? And to make sure it's the
Mm.
correct size. And what else could be the build out of the actual billboard, because you might have a billboard that may be old and they need to put a new one. So a vinyl billboard would run you about maybe 100,000 to build, and a digital billboard would run you about 400,000 to build, right?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Well, the 400,000 lot. But check this out. Companies will build the billboard for you, and then they will pay you rent to rent it out. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. 'Cause I did all the research, and then I went online and I found all these companies and I sent them all the email. And I'm like, yeah, I have this location. Do you need a billboard? And so for my research and talking to them, this is what I came about. But the problem is most billboards are in industrial areas or zoned for industrial, right? And here we go again with this I'm going to say the city BS or the county BS. But you might have some billboards that are either grandfathered in or they're in this place. And why are they at this place? Because that's not a industrial place, right? Might be you might see houses or like let's say like a insurance office or something like that. You see a billboard, but is it zoned? Maybe it was back then, and maybe they changed it because they change the zoning all the time, right? And so now you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, but we have this billboard. Why can't we use it? So that's another part there. So you might have these companies, and that's the halt that I got to where I had these companies that are willing to put in the 100,000, 400,000 to build it brand new, and then they want to rent it out. They would even go to the part where I said, well, how about when you build it out, if you want to rent it from us, how about we take one side and you take the other side? Because I'm into business.
Right.
Them renting it out, a billboard contract is going to be for about 30 years. They want their money because they know that it doesn't cost anything to maintain a billboard, but you
Right.
have to sell the billboard ads. So for the vinyl ads, they usually run anywhere between, let's say, 600 to 2,500 on each side, right? Is that you? I don't know, I turned that thing off. Um, for one side, and then you have the other side, and then you have the expenses that they have to pay, right? So let's just say the expenses came to 1,000, they profit 3, and they're renting for like 1,500, and then they get 1,500, right? And in your mind, you're probably saying 1,500 is not a lot a month, but they're getting that forever. 30 years is a long time. If I was 30 years old, they're paying rent until I'm 60, You got to think the billboard's not going anywhere. But now you have the digital ones. So the digital ones could probably make up to about $20,000 a month, depending. Because now you have some where um a company might have theirs play in the morning, or they might have it play for 1 hour, or maybe it'll play for 5 minutes, or maybe it'll just pay on the weekend. Let's say it's something like, I don't know, Michael Jordan, and Micah Johnson, Michael Jordan sneakers, and he wants to do it the whole entire All-Star weekend, right?
Right.
And so you can break it down to smaller payments. For where on the vinyl you couldn't really do that because who's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down, keep changing?
Right.
They're going to do that
Exactly.
just once a month, right? But with the digital, you can keep changing, 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 right? But the zoning becomes the issue. So right now, what our issue is that even though you're in a commercial zoning, the billboard itself needs to be in industrial, right? All right. So now, of course, you go to zoning, right? And what do they say? Put an application in. It's $2,000. Right? So before you put the
Right.
application in, well, no, let me rewind that. Okay, so because before you do all that, you email them, right? And they never respond.
Right.
You call and they never answer. You go up there and nobody's ever there. Is it me or I'm the only one in planning and zoning? No one's ever available. Is it,
Nope.
you,
Yeah,
you can
that's
never
you.
find nobody, right? So finally, when they are, you give them the address and you say, hey, I want to put a billboard here. What do you think? And they're like, well, that's not zoned for that. And you're like, okay, well, can we appeal it? Can we talk about it? And they're like, yeah, put the application in. We'll talk. The application is $2,000. So I need to pay $2,000 just to ask you a question? Yeah.
Right. That
No,
they can still say
I'm
no
not
to.
gonna pay. I'm not gonna pay $2,000 to ask a question. So they're like, all right, well, there's other ways to go. Let me get you the correct verbiage before I say something wrong. Um, they have what is called the legislative committee, right? And then you have the committee. So the legislative route, you can go to them and you can ask them and say, hey, will you support me and go to zoning with me when we go to the court? And and I stand up and I say, I want to put a billboard there. And you're going to be like, that company is a great company. They put a billboard there, you're going to get a lot of jobs. Sure, you should do blah blah blah, right?
Right.
Do you know, like, when it comes time to vote for all these people, they're always around.
Right.
But then when
So,
you want to email someone, you can never find
right.
them. Never,
Only
right?
need stuff
They're
during
always,
election season.
right. So same thing. Yeah, they're like, well, yeah, talk to your legislature, congressperson, and see if they'll support you. So you go and you email them, you type up this nice, pretty email, and they don't respond. And then you email them again and again and again. And then, it's not like, so it's different from planning and zoning. You know what planning and zoning is. You can't just pull up to a legislator's house,
You
so
don't
you
go
got
to
to
the door
call.
trick won't work.
Right. So finally you get in touch with somebody and then they're like, well, zoning is here, legislative's here. You need to talk to the neighborhood first and find out if they even want this billboard. Oh, okay. So the neighborhood is kind of like HOA, right? A little bit different. All HOAs is nonprofit. The neighborhood is nonprofit. And what do you know about people that work nonprofit, except the real nonprofits? They never answer the phone. They never answer email. They're not around because this is not their job, right? They work a
Right.
regular job like me and you, and then on the side, they're like the HOA or the neighborhood HOA for the board and stuff. And they're doing this. Why are they doing this? Because I guess somebody needs to do it. And you know how HOA is. So,
Not good.
yeah, they have this thing called the neighborhood committee. And that's just like any commercial property. Anytime you want to do some of the zoning, you got to reach out to neighborhood committee. You send them a bunch of emails or letters. And when you go to court and you're like, I want to do this. And you always had that one old man, no, don't tear down that house. I love that house. you know,
Right.
so
The NIMBY.
I go and email them. Let me tell you something. The worst time I think to do any type of construction business is in November.
Okay.
Because you know what happens in November? Thanksgiving. And
Holidays
then
start.
December, Christmas, and then New Year's, and then who's? So you're busy at work because of Valentine's Day.
Right.
They find
Right.
every holiday. It's so many now, and then they come with these new holidays. You know, there's all kinds of holidays. We just had one, something I don't know what it was, and I'm like, that's an holiday. They're like, yeah, we're off work because of that. I'm like, oh God. And then let me tell you about these government buildings. If you ever noticed and looked at the calendar, all the government holidays are usually on a Monday or Thursday, Friday. So what they do is they take off.
Right.
They literally take off, right? And they're off Friday and they're off Monday. So the only time you can get in touch with them is either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But guess what? In planning and zoning, we're not open on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday
Tuesday
by
to
only by
Thursday.
appointment only. It's
There's a method to the madness.
so finally, I got in touch with the guy. He's the president of the neighborhood committee. And then he goes, well,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I don't even know if we do that address, but I think we do, but we share it with somebody else. And I'm like, come on, So
Right.
after so since November, right? November, December, January, and I'm on top of it. I finally get through to him, and we talk and talk, and I'm like, can we just have a meeting about this? It's like every time we talk, we just talk about how we're just gonna meet up for the next time, but we haven't even talked about the fact, can we do the billboard or not? That's all I want to
Right.
know, right? So
Strung
finally,
along.
he's like, actually today I called him because I knew I was going to have this podcast with you. And I called him like, listen, I didn't tell him I was going on a podcast, but I was like, listen, I'm about to go to this podcast meeting, and I need to tell them something. I can't just sit there and tell him like, yeah, I was calling them since November and I still don't have an answer. That just sounds like ridiculous. So he's like, yeah, I looked it up, and yeah, it is around a commercial area and there's no residential there. So I don't find any reason why we would deny the billboard. I mean, you guys should go ahead and, we'll support you because there's no reason not to. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you.
Great news.
Right. Like it took 50 months just to say that. Okay. So now all I have to do now is go up, spend that $2,000 that they want that we never see.
Right.
Right. Who gets this too? Because I always wanted to know, right? I worked for the city, not that city, but another city, right? And as a project manager, let's just say I made $40 an hour, right? If someone gave me a paper to process, it would probably take me, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20
Right.
minutes. So what is the $2,000 for? What? This what I'm trying.
This
What is it?
baby.
What is
Just
the two
another way to
thousand
tax.
dollars for? What? Why do you need $2,000 to process paperwork? I don't get it. To go for the board? Is it for the board? Is it for the meetings? What is it for? So anyway, all right.
Try to
So that's
keep
gonna be
people
my
from
next.
trying to rezone.
Yes. Now that could make sense. I could see that because in the calendar year, you can only but do so much. I've had places in other counties, I'm not gonna mention their name, where they give you the calendar and you're like, you only have appointments in June? We're in February. And they're like, that's the calendar. And I'm like, June? Are you serious? You know. But then
Okay.
I've had some clients where I got permits pulled for them and they were supposed to pay and they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, why are you wasting these people time? We did all this work. Now you don't even want to pay for the permit. You don't want to do the work. Why? I don't like what they said.
Welcome to real estate.
I don't like- The more properties a person has, the more bougie they get. I don't like those people. I don't want to do it. I'm not selling. I'm not building right now. You've been sitting on the land for like 50 years. Do something with it. What are you gonna
Do
do? You just
something.
gonna die and it's still gonna be sitting there?
Right.
So anyway, make a long story short, so I will have to file in with the zoning. So basically, I will read what it says. So basically, rezoning the C3, which is commercial, and it's C3 is what the commercial property is, and I think the billboard is a C1,
Gotcha.
and to not only to change the zoning, but then I have to get a sign permit. So both. right? So we'll pay the $2,000, file for the zoning, and then of course they'll deny it, of course, right? Because it's not zoned for that. And then when they deny it, then I'll go and appeal it, and then I'll go back to that neighborhood guy, and hopefully he'll have. Now, this is what someone told me. They said just because he said yes now doesn't mean he's going to say yes later down the line. That's the tricky part, because it's not like you're going to get it in writing. It's not a contract or,
Right.
agreement. And then it's not just him. You still have to go through legislator. You still have to go through the board. You still got to get up there and tell him all this stuff. And just because he said yes, that doesn't mean that somebody else might say, we don't need a billboard and blah, blah, blah. There's really there's no residential around there. So I don't see that happening. But I could see maybe there is a billboard that is way, way down the street around the corner. I could see them saying like, oh, that's a conflict of interest. We already have a billboard. We don't need another billboard. Who knows? But let me tell you
Something silly.
something. Money always talks.
That's right.
So remember when I said I send all those emails and I got some big time companies. I'm talking about big time because they have billboards in every state. And if I can get like up in front of the board and get the permit almost ready to go, I can call one of them and they'll bring their big wigs in and take over from there. They
Right.
just don't want to
Set it
do
up.
the dirty work.
Right. Right. They want to do the ending part. Well, it's fascinating. Billboards is interesting. So I really appreciate you hopping on today and sharing more about it. I'm excited to hear what you keep going on. I'm gonna have to bring you back on here in about 6 months and
Yeah.
see what's progressed since then. So for someone that's listening in out there that'd like to follow along more with you, learn more, what's the best way for them to find you?
They could definitely hit my Instagram, which is Justina Chi, which is CHI. That's short for my middle name, which is Chinyeri. Because I know people are like, what is that? And they can also email me at propertyofjustina@gmail.com. Everybody loves that email. They're like, I love that email. Yeah, propertyofjustina@gmail.com. And yeah. So look, I'm definitely me. I'm definitely good at all paperwork. If it's pulling permits, anything that needs to be done, any evictions, any contracts, any zoning. Um, you would not believe that I've been out in the field and helped with surveys and surveyors. I get my boots on.
I would believe it. If you're taking cash for rentals when you're in elementary school, I have no problems believing you're out there with the surveyors. It's been your
Yeah.
modus
Listen, I put
operandi
this
for
hair
quite
up
some
in a
time.
bun. I get my bubble goose on and my boots, and I'm out there. And I'm like, what we doing? Yeah, because you got to be on top. Listen, I got to tell people, if you need someone to be on top of people, well, not on top of them, like standing, but but you need somebody.
I got you.
I'm on top of them. I guess it's a New York thing because, in New York, everything is heavy up, heavy up, heavy up, heavy up. And
That's
that's just
it.
how
Get
it
it going.
is.
I love that.
Where
Well,
you,
thanks for
where are
being here
you
today.
from?
I'm from Florida, born and raised.
Okay, yeah. So Florida is nice and warm. It's probably laid back. But
It,
in New
it
York,
is.
it was so cold. It was snowing one time in May,
No thanks.
just to give
Yeah,
you an
my wife's from
example.
Connecticut. That's as much cold as I need. I'm happy here in Florida. I'm in St. Augustine, and it's is just right for me. But again,
That's
I
why she
appreciate.
moved and came to live with you.
That's it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Well, again, I appreciate you being here today. Thanks so much. For folks that are listening and watching, check the show notes to get Justina's link and her email. Reach out to her, touch base with her, follow along with somebody who's doing some real work in the industry. Thank y'all all for being with us today. We appreciate each and every one of you watching along. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We've got more conversations coming up with operators just like Justina out there building a real business in the industry. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you on the next episode.
Yes. And don't forget the TV show, Love and Basketball TV show. Smooches.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.